Ingwenyama Penguins on the bottom, everybody.
Jumbo!
I'm Cameron Mitchell-Ware.
And I'm Jessica Mixon.
Welcome to Project Whiteface.
Yes, Project Whiteface, where for us, the act is an art.
And the only real white faces are on the production team.
Yeah, we don't have issues between blacks and whites.
Nope, we believe in issues between all colors and some whites.
Yeah, and more importantly, we do believe in having an open and honest conversation about where race and art meet.
Absolutely, and being completely transparent about it.
Princess Tiana again?
I just want to make it to 25.
Here we go again.
Today on the project, we felt inspired to do a little script analysis of an underappreciated stock hero.
A hero in Black America or white America?
Barack's America. This all too valuable American hero is one that Jessica and I have played most of our careers. Scratch that. Most of our lives.
The role of the Black Friend. The Black Friend stereotype would be loud.
Kind of like comedic relief, either for being dumb or crazy.
Like light.
Gerald from Hey Arnold. Harry Potter, you had that one token black friend. They didn't really even include him in much.
The lighthearted comedic relief, almost. The person that's always happy, who's not quite with it, but has a good spirit.
I think it's a harmful archetype. It's a harmful character position.
I think we're coming up at a time when marginalized people are starting to really own the reality of where we actually are and are feeling like very angry and bitter about it. And I think it makes a lot of people uncomfortable.
Message! Up next, we have a very, very special guest, and he gave us a little more insight on what the Black Friend could mean and the future of race in theater. Ladies and gentlemen, we had a second opinion that we wanted to get from a person that knows a lot about what it means to be a person of color. Daniel Pruksarnukul. Thank you for joining us on Project Whiteface.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Our first question, just because we'll slide you in easily, based on your takeaway from pop culture, modern America, what are some of the stereotypes or qualifications that you might think happen in the Black Friend as a role, as a character?
Black friend.
What is the Black Friend? What do we go, oh, that's what that is?
The sage person, the cool person, the caregiver, the rock, the support, someone who's always got an answer, who's above pretty much everything, and just at all times, just absolutely cool.
Right.
And pretty much a trendsetter too.
Right.
Yeah.
I love something that Barrington Thurston said in his book, How to Be Black, in the chapter, The Black Friend, where he says that the Black Friend can act as like the cultural Swiss Army knife. You know what I mean? Like you can just like pull the Black Friend out and they instantly add clout or like cred to like, bless you.
Thank you.
Or sneezes to the event that you want. What do you think about that? Is that something that you've had?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's that thing of like, ask a black friend of like, so is this the right thing, or is this cool right now, or is that the right music to listen to, or what should I be wearing? And I mean, that's, I think, what's also been portrayed in the media of this constant sense of being the voice of culture.
Yeah.
Especially what's like trending.
Right.
Which is weird.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's the thing of like, what am I supposed to watch? What should I be wearing today?
It's like, I'll put on my hair and my face. To a Baptist funeral?
All black.
A crown,
Yeah,
right,
really,
church hat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've had that, you
Yeah.
know.
A
And
baby
it's,
church hat.
yeah.
And in that moment, you act as the insightful Black friend and say, well, you wear an appropriate dress, or do you say, girl, go for the crown?
No, I just tell
Yeah,
you, what dress would you usually wear to church? Be yourself. And maybe like the Black friend character came about at the beginning, like when Black people were finally getting a chance to like show themselves on television, stuff like through the Jigaboo character and stuff like that. and then we kind of morphed into where we are now.
Right, because I mean, there has been an evolution of like it being black culture being the cool culture, the dominant culture in terms of where we want to go, what everyone wants.
Right.
And it's less of like, you know, there's still the comic relief thing. There's still a bit of that, but I feel the coolness of it is kind of taken over.
Yeah.
And that space has now been given towards like Asian, Latino, other culture thing of like, you can be the funny one.
Right,
Yeah.
because it's so interesting.
It was almost like the gateway for other cultures
Yeah,
to
right.
become.
Yeah, we can be the commodity of like, it's funny to laugh at us, or like, we'll have something funny to say.
Breaking the icebreaker.
Which is kind of good, but still also kind of stupid because it's still a minority in a place
Right.
for comedic relief for the sake of poking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like I was watching, because I'm a conspiracy theorist in this way, and I was watching, I think it was like a Verizon commercial, and one of them, I don't know if you've seen this, and one of them is set up where it's like a black woman and an Asian woman, and then like the black woman sets it up and the Asian woman goes, nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Yeah.
But then the first one, there's another version where it's a white actress who does the setup,
Yeah.
and the black woman does the nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Yeah.
So it's okay for us to be in the lead as long as one of the y'all is the nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? It can never be the other way around with a Caucasian actress or actor.
Well, that's like the craziest part about media, I think, in general, or where it goes is, I feel like it's, in terms of the actual diversity of what's going on, when you see the evolutionary shift of what's being represented, it's like print advertisement is the forefront. Like if you open up the Sunday paper and you look at a Walmart or a Target or a Kmart catalog, it is the United Colors of that time.
Yeah.
Kmart knows more about diversity than the American theater does.
We'll talk about that. I mean, you are a former associate / casting director for Arena Stage. It's a regional theater company, right?
It is.
Based out of Washington, D.C. Your experience is there for black actors as a casting director. What's that like for you to be that kind of intermediary face as a person of color? We've spoken so much about what that means for you.
Yeah.
Casting in theater, do those relationships go, I have to produce for the sake of the show, or do you really try to colorblind cast is what we're talking about? What's your experience in that space?
Well, it's a funny evolution of things because I mean there's a couple things. So when race is like germane to the role, like there are things like if you're doing an August Wilson play, it's specifically written about African American people in Pittsburgh. You can't do much about that.
Right.
If you're doing and Butterfly, David Henry Kwan, like when race is integral to the role, like you have to serve that.
It should be a Latina woman, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think there's any characters that you have come across that kind of amplify that type of black friend, like within theater or like casting decisions that you made?
I'm trying to think about, I mean, specifically character-wise, I'm wondering if I've even come across that.
Yes, I know. I was trying to think of that myself.
It was really hard to find. We were researching and looking through. We really only see that kind of archetype of the black friend everywhere but theater.
Right, because it's like, I mean, like TV, film for sure,
For
like,
sure. For sure.
There's like that list, but like, in thinking about a playwright or a play that has intentionally built in the character of specifically a black friend, no, I don't think I've seen that.
Do you think that there are? I'll talk about it this way. Another thing that Virginia Thurston talks about, because I'm obsessed with him, is this idea that in order for these cross-racial conversations that we're trying to help people understand through this little lens of the black friend, the qualities that are necessary or that have to be in place for that framework to start as a foundation are cultural authenticity. I have to be authentic to who I am, and so do you. Rachel Dolezal. We're not transracial here, Rachel, right? So cultural authenticity, patience, and a sense of humor. Would you add something to that list?
Courage.
Courage.
Because, find myself so much in that space whenever we talk about race, particularly about with it when it's art, where it very much quickly becomes a black and white conversation. And it's not, but I'm so aware of it, and I'm, like my own racial identity journey is its own thing, and like when I kind of came to realize, I'm like, oh, they're not really talking about me. Like this is a thing that's happening.
Us.
And then so I sit on the sidelines, and then there's these moments where I feel like the white people in the room are like, did you just hear that? I'm like, this is this angry conversation, and I'm just happily seeing myself right here. Or where Latin was like, could you believe that? I'm like, and where do I side? I mean, more towards being a person of color. So when it comes up in a general sense of like people of color and or non-people of color, aka white people, then I see it where it is, but then there's these pivots towards this is a black and white thing right now. Oh, now it's back to being opened up, now it's back to being a black and white thing going on. So when the conversations part, and I'm on either camp, and it's seen as like, oh, you're cool. Like when you're hanging out with white people behind closer, it's like, oh, you're cool, we can talk about this. I'm like, all right, let's hear what's going on. And that moment where I had that lack of courage to be like, oh, I really should say something right now, but this is just so bad.
Yeah.
And like when you're in that room and in that space of like, could you believe what they said? I'm like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah.
You're like, okay.
Yeah.
And you know, that's where I feel that I've kind of come up short, or that's what I acknowledge of like, you have to have the patience, you got that sense of humor, you gotta have that cultural authenticity, but you also have to be able to step up and just be like, this is really, you know, you gotta just be able to make it stink in the room for a minute. And that's hard. I know that I've struggled with that a bunch, because then it's like, well, then I'm not gonna be cool anymore.
Yep. Message! so much. Daniel Pruksarnukul.
We would like to thank Daniel Pruksarnukul for joining us today and giving us so much insight.
Yes, and before you go, friends, please be sure to give a thumbs up on this video and follow us on Instagram at Project Whiteface and like us on the Facebook.
Live free.
And don't do too much of one thing.
Bye.
Bye.